listen. Little brand new mission.
Something grabs a hold of me tightly. We are so live right now, and I'm just rolling this with you guys, just so you know. I gotta turn the camera around to get the setup.
Dude, he can dance. He can move.
Oh, he's good.
You guys, okay? Are you gonna start singing or nothing?
No.
Nothing.
No.
Nope.
Nope.
Wow. Okay. I'm just letting you guys know you're live, so you can start talking to the
We
camera
are
anytime.
not.
Yeah, you are. I'm
Are you
serious.
serious?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
No, I'm serious. I haven't even touched the thing. We got 2 people watching
It's
right
not
now.
my. It's not my
How does that?
podcast. So
Does it look good at least?
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Cool.
I mean, I like it.
Boom, baby.
Check, check.
Check, check.
I mean, I think we're ready to roll.
We are ready to roll.
For those of you that don't know, we are live.
Oh, sorry. We're serious. We're serious.
That is pretty
Okay.
loud, but we're seriously live.
Okay, nice.
And we have a special guest today.
We
what's
do.
up?
Shawn, Kliewer.
Yep. This is the man myth coach himself, the shot doctor.
And as
some
we've
call
already
him.
established, a lot of people know me.
Yeah.
And a lot of
say
people
that,
know him,
clearly.
and he's got a nickname in my office known as the Cash King.
He is the
That
catch.
is true.
How about that? Yeah.
It's true.
But they know
Sure.
that already. I'm sure.
I'm sure everybody else out there
Everybody
knows that.
His reputation precedes him.
Yeah, so we're kind of kicking this off here with Shawn, bringing him on, and he's on my team, and but he also has some really good wisdom and insight,
No doubt.
and we're gonna tap into that a little bit. And to kick that off,
Kick it off.
mean, I feel like we should kick it off right because it's March Madness.
It is March
Kick
Madness.
it off. March
Yep.
Madness style.
And
Hope everybody's got your brackets.
your
dialed
bracket
in.
is
Not
messed
busted,
up now
and they're not
because
busted
Iowa
yet.
won. And
Yeah.
I know nobody had Iowa.
Nobody
out
likes
there.
us.
Oh,
So,
my boy Alex did for sure.
well,
Shout
nice
out,
job, Alex.
Yeah.
There you go. So Shawn is going to give us his top 10 list, which for those of you that don't follow him,
You need
Shawn, yeah, exactly. So what's your social media tag here so people can start following you?
Shawn Kliewer, and that would be my name, and that would be ShawnKliewer.
Ooh,
Okay,
that's good
sweet.
stuff.
Yeah,
And
thanks,
you
simple.
were on social media as far as Instagram.
Instagram, Facebook, yeah.
Okay,
So that's my main ones.
there we go. And now you can start following him. So there's a little shout out there for my boy, and start following some of his top 10 lists because these are hilarious. So without further ado,
Let's hear
give
it.
us your top 10 list as it relates to
March Madness.
March Madness.
Every Thursday this comes out, so you have something to look forward to. A little Christmas present every Thursday, every week of the year. I took spring break off, but I take a couple of things off every once in a while. But it will come out every Thursday in the evening-ish, right when you get done eating that meal and you sit down. I'm going to check social media.
Yeah.
There's a reason I do that.
Okay,
So yeah, I'm
perfect.
just trying to get the most people out there. There's your first little wisdom right there.
Okay.
If you're doing social media, you want them to see it. That's 7, 8 o'clock hours when you do it.
Right.
Boom.
That little evening lull.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Down.
So, I love March Madness, love basketball, and every one of my top 10 lists is always going to be advice that's going to help you out with life most of the time. Yes, serious things in life.
Amen.
Serious
That's
issues
true.
in life. So, this one naturally is top 10 ways to dominate March Madness.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Okay.
Because, I mean, you think about it, you've got your bragging rights, you can win prizes.
Yeah.
There's all kinds
Sometimes
of
cash.
cash.
Sure.
Cash is
Sure.
always
Don't they
good.
still have that H&R Block, like $1 billion
Yeah,
perfect
yeah, I think
bracket
so.
thing?
Which I busted yesterday, but I did have
Thank
14 right.
Thank you, Iowa, again,
Thank you, yeah.
for today. Yeah.
Anyway, so let's go through this because this is really going to help you out. If not this year, for sure next year. You can put it in your bank and think about it for next year.
There we go.
Top 10 ways to dominate March Madness, number 10. Just something to think about. Technically, the final game isn't even played in March. If you lose your bracket challenge every year, maybe you should start focusing on April Madness.
Yeah.
That is very true.
I mean,
That
it's
is
like
very true.
you get more points as the games get bigger. The championship games are worth way more points. We're focusing on March Madness.
Yeah.
You be focused on April
Stack your
Madness.
chips for
Amen.
April.
Just saying.
Amen. That is so true.
Just saying. Number 9, take some time off work to watch the games. I mean,
That definitely doesn't
just
happen.
wait one time. Not actual vacay time. of course, just like take some time while you're sitting at your desk.
Right, exactly.
Amen.
Do it at work, guys.
I don't,
You know, like
I don't think that
nobody
happens
needs
anywhere.
no. Nobody needs to actually fill out the slip for vacation time. Just you deserved it. You know, you work hard. Just take some time, you know, at your desk and watch a few games.
If not that, tune in for the last like 3 minutes of every game.
Right.
Because that's
Right.
usually when it gets
And there's
exciting.
some more advice on that later.
Mm.
Number 8, piece of advice. I don't care if you went there, lived there, and currently are the president of the university. Do not pick Gardner Webb to win it all.
True.
You know,
True.
like the home team.
Yes.
You always pick your home team to go if you're, you know, a long ways, and it's like, real? Are you sure? You know, just because it's your team, I don't know. But anyway,
That's
This
the
is if
point.
Nebraska's-
There's statistics out there, just like last year, right? There's never been a number 16 team seed to beat a number 1 seed, and
True.
it happened. So you never know, man.
True.
You never know.
but they're not going to win it all.
Okay.
Gardner Webb's not going to
You're
win it all.
probably
Although if
right.
Nebraska was in it, I would pick them to win it all. At least Final Four.
All right. Okay.
So I'm guilty of that one. Number 7, another piece of advice. Waking the baby or losing your job is not worth it. Learn and master the quiet yell.
Ooh.
You know, so it's like, and I've done this in my office. You know, like the freak out yell, but you keep it quiet.
Right.
Because if you're inside and watching at your home, wake the baby, terrible thing. It's not
Yep.
a good thing. Scare
Amen.
the kids, whatever, you've been there.
Yep.
But, you know, losing your job too, because they all know, you know, your boss knows what you're doing over there if you're yelling and screaming.
I
So
like it. I like it.
you gotta learn and master the quiet yell. Number 6. Oh, basketball's on? I love it when they jam the ball for a home run. We all know this person, and they're going to win our bracket.
That is
So
true.
Right?
That would be me, the guy who never participates and just randomly picks his entire bracket and then comes across with a perfect.
Right, to win. I've been a part of too many office brackets where the person picking them off the uniform colors or the mascot
Yep.
winning, and I'm breaking it all down, start to finish, 64 teams, you know, whittling it all down, and I get, you know, second to last. So I gotta start picking them off the cute uniforms or something. I don't know. Okay, number 5. At some point this weekend, at least 3 devices need to be tuned into different games at the same time. If you're not watching it, your team might lose.
There you go.
That is
You
true.
know,
Phone,
That is true.
computer, TV,
TV,
Tablet.
Got it.
Yeah,
I mean,
whatever.
you go
Steal it
4.
from your kids.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
Listen, now right now is daddy time, and daddy gets to watch
Right.
whatever he wants to watch.
Because
right now.
if you watch it at home, that's making all the difference right there.
Mhm.
If your team's, you know, scoring buckets or whatever. So
It's true.
don't think that it doesn't. Number 4, I would recommend you try and stay positive the whole way through the tournament. I keep my chin up even when it seemingly always turns to March sadness about the third day for me.
Nice plan.
But
words. I like
seriously,
that.
like I'm doing great. I had a great day yesterday. Already losing some games. Now today, tomorrow's going to turn into March sadness for me. I
March
think.
sadness.
Yeah, so I keep the chin up.
Probably
there.
true. That's good stuff.
Again, the Iowa game's really hurting us there. Setting us up for a bad day tomorrow. Number 3, upsets are normal. Kicking a hole in the wall is not. Deep breath. Deep breath. Right?
True.
Yep.
True.
I mean, upsets are going to happen, but let's try and keep the destroying the furniture to a minimum.
Furniture, TV.
Especially if you're watching at your office.
Amen to
The
that.
quiet yell, the quiet kick a hole in the wall. You know,
Yes.
whatever you need to do. But yeah, for sure, it's just I don't know, you just got to keep it all in perspective. Number 2, find a team with a coach that has a weird ritual like bringing his dog to practice or making all his players join the bell choir. Those teams never win, but they always make it quite a ways.
There you go.
know, they always have the story.
They
You
have
know?
the story.
Yeah,
Exactly.
There's
You know what I'm
entertainment
saying?
value. Yeah, you
Yeah.
get a little bit fixated on
Yeah.
that and want them to win. The underdog, you know.
And they do. They go a long ways, and they're not going to win it all, but there's always the story, you know, that it just kind of captivates the whole audience. It's kind of a sob story or something the coach does. Who knows? But number 1, from the start of the tip-off to the final highlight montage, one shining moment, you have to claim that this is your year. Trust me, they're going to be playing one shining moment at the end of this thing.
I like that.
It's my year.
That's good
This
stuff.
is my year. There's gonna be one shining moment at the end of the year. It's all my highlights. You know, they're gonna have me filling out the bracket. You know, me cheering. You know, yeah.
For the
So-
record, thank you to our other camera that just went off, but that's okay. That's why we have backup.
Truth.
But for the record, who'd you pick to win?
I got North Carolina to win. I can say that now
Go Tar
because
Heels.
it's already started, so I'm not giving away any
Yep.
secrets. I had Duke, North Carolina in the final game, which I think would be amazing. They've never played in the tournament, I don't think. So played plenty of times during the regular season, but that would be a sweet championship
Yeah,
game.
no doubt.
Yeah.
I would agree.
So, Shawn, tell us a little bit about how you started these top tens and why you did.
Sure.
How you got into that.
Right. So started real estate about a year ago this month. So that's exciting. Coming up on a year
No,
now.
wow,
And it went
man.
super
It
super
did
fast.
go super
Yeah.
fast.
It just jumped in it. You do a little bit, and here we are a year later. So I'm excited about that. But when I first started, I knew, because Ryan does so much social media, knew I had to get in that world more,
Right.
because I'm not a guy who's out there picturing selfies all the time, otherwise,
Uh-huh.
And so, and
Which is sad.
right, which I should, yeah. Hey, Chipotle.
We love to see that.
yeah. And so, trying to figure out a creative way to do that. And I also wanted to stick out a little bit, and not just do the normal things that other people are doing. And so, try to come up with some creative ways. What can I do? What can I be consistent at? So pick a once a week thing. And of course, I post more than just once a week. But I want to have something consistent that I am doing that people are tuning into.
Yeah.
And then wanted to do something creative and add some humor in there. And just, I think actually my wife came up with it. Like, what about a top 10 list? Yeah, okay, that'd be cool. And then let's try it. And so my first, little known fact, my first list was last year at this time, and it was about March Madness as well. So,
Wow.
yeah, I can dig
Right.
that up. but I
Full
don't think
circle, you guys.
Right, it is full
That's
circle.
awesome.
So this is like How to Dominate March Madness 2.
I like it.
Nice.
The sequel.
That's great. And listen, I have got to give this guy big time credit because it's hard to stay that consistent with one specific thing, let alone a list of 10 different things every single week. So shout out to you for sure for that. That's
Appreciate
awesome, man.
that. It's
Stay
nice to be
diligent.
noticed. Yeah, because it is hard. It is.
Yeah.
You get into it, and that would be the. I mean, I have people that don't ever like it or don't ever comment, but then I get people all the time say, "Oh, I just can't wait till Thursday. I love seeing the list." And I'm
Right.
like, "Really? I've never seen you like it or anything." But, okay,
Yeah.
So
There
don't-
are those silent watchers. I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like.
you
Ryan
can't-
and I get that a lot too with the podcast.
It's
Like,
totally, yeah.
we keep watching them. They're great. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh really? I've never seen you
Yeah,
while we're live,
yeah,
but that's
yeah.
okay if you
Yeah.
watch it later.
I guess you just can't get discouraged, because you only had 12 likes or whatever. I mean, in social media, people are seeing it, people are watching it, whatever. So
Yep. Cool.
anyway.
That's a good word.
So what were you doing prior to real estate, and how did you get into real estate?
Good questions, both of them. So I was working as a basketball coach, so that's why I'm all into the basketball thing. Basketball coach at Grace University, and unfortunately the school shut down last May, so I found myself looking for another job. And so I went to, if you're looking for a job, go to friends and family first, and that's what I did. So I started talking to friends, talked to Ryan, and I had contemplated doing real estate in the past, but wasn't, had never really been forced into it like I wasn't at that point. And he's like, "Yeah, you probably be good at it. Let's give it a shot." And so he walked me through all the steps of what it takes to get certified, and thought about it, prayed about it, and just thought this is where I want to go with it. And then jumped in full steam ahead, because it's kind of a unique job in that I thought, well, I can always have my license, and if something else would come up, I can do that along with it. But
Right.
really, my goal was to do it full time,
Right.
just full steam ahead. And so, got my license, like I said, last March, and then started and have just been doing it this whole year, and really have been loving it.
So I think that's one thing that I always hear you say is he'll come into the office and he'll just be like, "Man, I really love what I do." And I'm like, "Welcome to the club." Like I do love this industry, and Shawn and I come from the same background of like ministry stuff and coaching and some different things there. And I think when I look back and I think about like how I was prepared for this industry, and I think a lot of it, in ministry was like building those relationships and going deeper and those types of things, how that prepared us for it.
That's really good.
And those are the type of people that I think do really well in this
Right.
industry. Is they're really good at making relationships and friendships very quickly, and I think also I would say developing that trust like right away, and that's something that I think this guy does really well. And
that's actually what you just said is probably perfect, because it goes into my question. My follow-up question to that was going to be like, you know, being a coach and coming from a standpoint of leadership, right, or teaching people even fundamentals in a certain degree, right, at your college level, so hopefully they know a little bit about what they're doing, but having to get into the fundamentals of coaching and basketball in general, how do you parlay that now into your new career?
Right, yeah. Well, it's both of those. I have been in the ministry, I have done coaching, and they both come together in that, you know, I always say with real estate, I've noticed that you're not selling your product because people look online and find their house they want. They know they're going to buy a house. You have to sell yourself, you know, and gain that trust. And so it's just all relationship building, and that's the way ministry is. That's the way coaching is, because players aren't going to respect you if you're not going to build that relationship with them. So it's just totally from start to finish, from the recruiting process of a player to the time you're, you know, winning the tournament at the end of the year. It's a relationship that you built with that person, and that's what selling a house is too. So it's a you get, what I really love about real estate is getting in front of people who I've never met before and gaining their trust and getting them to the point where they feel comfortable using me to do one of the biggest purchases of their life.
Exactly.
You know, and it's a privilege and an honor, but it's a challenge, and one that I feel like is just I'm a competitive guy, so I just love that challenge. You know, I love getting after it, and then competitiveness too is the other thing. You know, I'm obviously, as a coach, you know, in the game, because I'm, as a player, as a coach, always been very competitive, and that's, you know, that kind of drives me to push hard at real estate too. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I think the relational side of it, you know, people have told me before, like, oh, you do real estate, you love it, I should do that. So yeah, go ahead, as long as you want to be 100% relational with people, because that's what it is. It is people.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, that's good. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. I like that. So I have another question, and I think I might pose this to both of you.
Okay.
So being in the industries or the jobs that you guys are, what have you seen as far as what has stretched you and helped you grow the most as an individual, being in that role in this new industry? And obviously, you're not in real estate, Levi. You're in the mortgage lending side, but it still deals with that kind of stuff. But what would you say this industry has done for you when you look back and you see, okay, this last year or these last couple of years, I've really grown as an individual in this area because of blank. Maybe you guys have to think about that for a minute, but
I'll let you take that, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I've grown. Well, I can see where I'm going to continue to grow a lot more in this. But you told me this before, but Ryan, but you have to be thick-skinned in real estate, and things don't always go right. And I know as a lender, you're going to say the same thing. You got to cross all your T's, dot all your I's, because you're dealing again with a huge purchase. And when things don't go right, it's not just like, oh, you messed up my French fries. You know, no, it's you messed up something with my house. You know, potential house. And so you have to be, have your game on all the time. And when things mess up, because they will mess up, you gotta be thick-skinned, and you gotta deal with people who, you know, might not like what you do, even if you do it right. And so that's one thing. And for me, getting into it is a world that I've never been in, even though I've used some of the same skill sets. So I feel like an elementary school kid, you know, learning it all over again. And so it's tough because, you know, it's hard to be over 40, you know, and I'm over 40. You know, I'm getting
Shawn,
old.
you're over.
Yeah, I'm getting old. Yeah, and have to learn a whole new world, you know, because I was comfortable in the world as I was. So that stretches me. It grows you. It keeps you humble, and you know, you just have to say like, well, I don't know what I'm doing, and I won't for a couple of years, and just do the best I can, and just keep on plugging away. So, yeah, it definitely stretched me, and I think in good ways, areas that I needed to grow anyway.
Yep.
So,
Wow, that's good.
yeah.
That's good. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Good perspective.
Yeah. What about you? What do you got?
You know, I would parrot a little bit of what you said. I think the thick skin thing is there for sure, but For me, more so, there, again, they talk about the margin of error. There's definitely a small margin of error, so you definitely always have to be on your A game. I think the things that have most made me grow, though, in my career are pace. Dealing with what we do is often very demanding and fast-paced. So I think with that, it challenges you to stay on top of your game and stay focused all the time. And part of that has made me just really understand what my strengths and my weaknesses are. It's allowed me to identify those things and self-reflect a little bit more and go, okay, hey, maybe I didn't do this part that well. That's not my strength. I need to double down, make that a little bit better. And then also stick with my strengths and, quadruple down on those things. So for me, it's been a lot of self-reflection and self-identification of strengths and weaknesses, so that way I can try to serve my clients and the people that I work with as best as I possibly can. And then if there's something that I'm not so good at, maybe I can outsource that or lean on some other people who are good on those things. So
Do you feel like this is a little bit off the subject, but do you feel like you focus on getting your weaknesses better or focusing on just doing your strengths 10
That's a good
times
question.
better?
Yeah,
that was always a tough question for me.
Yeah.
That's a great question. That's actually it's something that I struggle with because, there's a ton of books like The One Thing or, a lot of personal development books will talk about doubling down on what you're really good at and just finding other people to help you with the things that you're not. I'm not a huge believer of that. I think that you need to go back to fundamentals and you need to, hone every portion of your craft and know how to shoot every arrow in your quiver, so to speak. Granted, I'm better at shooting some of them than others, so those are the ones that I try to focus on quite a bit. But no, I do always want to learn something new and grow and challenge myself. I find that starting is the hardest part, right, of whatever that challenging thing is. Once you start it, you realize, oh, wow, this is not that bad, There's a meme or a picture that always circulates around on social media that is like a group of different circles, and it says something about how the magic happens outside the comfort zone. So I think anytime you can challenge yourself with going outside of your comfort zone, you're going to grow.
Yeah,
for sure.
I like that.
Yeah.
What I told my players is you get better twice as fast when you work on your weaknesses.
Yeah.
Somebody can dribble right hand. If you're right handed, you dribble right hand all day. You're not gonna get much better. But you get that left hand, you dribble and start doing some leads in between the legs and stuff with your left hand. You actually see improvement in one day. So but I agree with both though. If you're not doubling down on your strengths, then I guess it's just both. I guess that's the answer, just both.
There's a great little book, actually, plug it real quick, that I read. I gave it to him. Have you read it yet?
I'm getting into it.
Shame on you. It's such an easy read, too. It's called Chop Wood, Carry Water. And gosh, it barely scratches 100 pages. It's something you could read within an hour or two at most. And it's an awesome book. It really talks about that, though, getting back to what you're discussing about. Doubling down on your weaknesses and just honing the things that you're not the best at first, because after that, everything else will just be second nature. So, Ryan, let's hear your answer, though.
Good stuff.
You're listening to both of us share.
No, it's good. I think I'm kind of in the boat now of just being in a completely different perspective than I ever been before. At first it was, 4 or 5 years ago, I'm in Shawn's position where I'm just getting involved in this industry and I'm pushing, I'm going, I'm succeeding at different things. And then now I'm at the point of I have a team and I'm looking at growing this team and I'm looking at getting better at leadership, better at other things, and figuring out what I haven't been very good at. And Shawn knows that. I've sat with him and I'm like, hey, I've done a really poor job of this, and having the conversation with him, and this is what I want to get better at, and different things. And then obviously with my coach, going back and forth, I have him to lean on, ask questions to, whatever. So I think for me, I'm understanding that it doesn't matter if you've been in this business, at least in our industry, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you're always learning something different, And so I always thought that once I get to this level or I get here, I'll be better at understanding how this process works or how this works. But it it's constantly changing and evolving.
Right.
And so every year I'm constantly learning something new,
Right.
and then taking that and being like, okay, how do I implement that into what I'm doing? And I think to kind of go along with you is just doing an evaluation every year as far as, okay, what did I do well this year?
Right.
And then what are the things that I can improve on? And sometimes you get that from feedback from working with clients. Sometimes you get that from your team as you're working with them. And, you know, I'd like to learn more about this, or I'd like to do this. And you're like, man, I failed you in that, you know? And so I think just learning that, like, nothing in my mind, there's nothing that's going to get you to perfection. Like,
Right.
you're not going to get and be a perfectionist and know everything about this industry.
Right.
And I think a lot of people like have this stereotype or this thing in their mind where they're like, once I reach this level, I'll be good. And it's like, no, you'll get there, and then you'll realize
There'll be
there's
another
so
level.
much more to learn.
Yeah.
And I think a good example of that is, you know, if you look at like our parents' generation and the people that are older than them, you know, a lot of them are saying like, well, I'm just not very good with technology or whatever, you know, but that's something that's evolved when they've grown and they've got older. So I'm always thinking about, like, as I grow and get older and do different things like in this industry and with our team, like, what's the next thing that I need to like
That I'm
learn
gonna be
about?
bad at.
Yeah, exactly. And a part of that is just understanding like knowledge is a good thing. You know, like Shawn was just asking me as we were walking over, like, do you like to read? Do you like to? And I was like, dude, I used to hate to read.
Yeah.
But now I love to read because I'm reading material that is about things that like I enjoy.
Help
So
you
like
grow and learn.
yeah, like right now I'm like reading stuff that's helping like build team structure and leadership and things like that, where I'm loving it because that's where I'm at in my life,
Right.
you know? And so it's, how do I take these things and implement that and put it into place? And I think if we're always doing that, like, that's to me like being successful and like loving what you do, because you're like, I love to read this stuff because this is where I'm at and what I'm doing. So
I will say normally our conversations are more interesting than do you like to read.
that is true. That is true.
I don't know.
That
how
is
good
true.
on that, but you know, coattailing off that a little bit, there is and you said this a little bit, but when I was coaching, I had some weaknesses that I focused on getting better at. But I made a list of those, and then every month would look at that list and say, did I actually get better at these things? Because so much of the time we identify what our weaknesses are or what our strengths are, but are we doing anything about it?
Yeah.
You know, you have to be intentional about it, and so. You know, and you could do it a month, 6 months, a year, whatever. But write those things down. No, this is what I need to get better at, and then look. Did I make any improvement on it,
Right.
or did I just identify it?
Yeah.
You know, oh, I'm bad at that. You know, so many times we just said, oh, I'm not very good at that. I need to get better at that. But are you? You know,
Right.
and so it's just being intentional about getting better at. Sometimes making that list and re-looking at it. You know, in your personal life. Especially if you're in a business, you know, or starting a business or whatever.
like that.
So.
I think you're so right about that. Change is really the only constant, you know, and if you're not prepared for it, or at least looking for it to happen, it'll pass you by, and
Right.
you'll be the old guy who's like, oh, I'm not good at that thing,
Yeah.
or whatever, you know. It's funny because when you brought that up, like she always says that to me, you know, we'll be like online and, oh, we heard about this new app that's going popular or whatever, and she's like, gosh, you think we'll be those people at any point that are like 40 and just outdated and completely out of the loop? I'm like, no, I don't ever think that'll be possible, because we're always looking for, you know, to be connected and be on top of whatever that next best thing is. And I think you have to be that in any industry, our industry especially. It's important to be looking to try to stay ahead of the curve for sure.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so I got one last question.
Okay.
And this is going to be to Shawn here.
Yep.
As you think about the impact that you want to make on the community of Omaha in your industry, when you think about kind of like this legacy that we want to leave behind, right? Like, what does that look like for you as far as when you look back and you're done doing real estate, which is, I know, kind of hard to do because you're just getting started. But at the end of 30, 40 years, 50 years, when you're 85 still selling real estate, what is it that you would like to look back on and be like, I'm glad I cemented my legacy doing this? What would that be?
Yeah, it's a good question. Again, something I've thought about. probably don't know the answers. I mean, I for sure don't know all the answers to. When I get 30 years down the road, I'm going to be like, I would have never thought this, and this. But right now, the two things that I can see are, again, it goes back to the relationships that I formed with people and made a positive influence in their life. So I text a guy that I sold him a house 6 months ago and haven't, every once in a while check in with him, but text him and ask him something about what septic inspector did you use? Because I know you had septic at your old house. And by the way, what are your picks for your bracket? So we start texting back and forth about bracket. This is it's just, we're basically nobodies to each other, except the fact that I sold him a house. I didn't have a relationship with him prior to that. And so it's a friend now. I consider a friend. And that's just one example. So you're meeting new people. And through this process, it's actually kind of sad when you close because you're like, there goes my friend, you know?
Yeah.
So you keep up with them, and it's not always about house stuff. It's most of the time it's about, what are your picks for the tournament, And so the relationships you form and the influence you can have in people to affect them in a positive way, and it's just there's not many opportunities you have in other jobs to meet people, brand new, face to face, and whether it's a referral, this guy gives me a referral, then that person is somebody I've never met before, so it's a brand new friend, know. And so that's really cool to get to know people like that and have an influence in their life. The other thing is, it just allows me an opportunity to have freedom and to provide for my family. And, I've got 4 kids, and a wife and lots of nieces, nephews, whatever. And so, that's my biggest ministry, and this job allows me to do that. I'm not in a job where I'm traveling all over the United States and I'm not home very often or whatever that may be. Those jobs are fine too, but for me, right now, I'm focusing on raising those kids and having the flexibility to do that, and then to be able to provide for them is just invaluable. So I just love that. So I want to look back in those 20, 30 years, and my kids say, I know my dad valued me because he spent time with us, and this job allows me to do that. And I know that, and he was providing for us, and he was working hard, but he also was working hard with us, and so
that's
those
cool.
two things,
I
mean, what more is there?
Right, that's powerful.
Yeah, so
thanks for sharing that. Yeah, that's awesome.
I feel like that was a good
first interview.
First interview.
Absolutely. Thanks,
good
Shawn.
stuff.
Thanks for coming on. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought it was an intervention. I was like, what am I doing wrong, guys?
That's funny. No, like this. I mean, this is the type of stuff that I think we want to start digging into and learning about people and just their thought process, how they do business, how they view life and doing business and life, like Shawn was just sharing. And I think a lot of us can relate to that, and I think a lot of us can learn a lot as we get to those, because we're all in different stages of life.
Exactly.
And to be able to lean into that a little bit from every person that we bring on here and interview, I think will be beneficial for them.
No doubt. Well said. Agree.
Access Omaha.
This is is it 102, 103?
This is 102.
102. 102.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
Loving it.
Well, hopefully you guys got something out of that. Really appreciate you watching if you tuned in. If not, we'll be posting the links later on all of our social media as well as YouTube, so you can catch up and take a look and make sure you stay connected with us. Give us any feedback that you like, and stay tuned for our next episode.
Yes, and one last time, how can people connect with you, Shawn?
Just find me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Shawn Kliewer, ShawnKliewer. Love to have you following me.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.